Welcome, everybody, to the news segment. This is November 18th, 2022. My name is Ken. Thank you so much for joining us. As a reminder, we will be here next week. We've got our longtime sponsor, and I mean longtime sponsor, Zatuna Liquor, coming in. Jack Zatuna is going to be joining us on the show to talk about a year in review in craft beer, distribution, what's changed, how things are going. So we are excited to have Jack on the show next week. Let's go over, we might all be drinking the same thing as we were drinking during the interview segment, but Robert, what do you got?
Slight switch, but same brewery, Untitled Arts, this time the S'mores Dark Brew.
Keeping it light. Dan, what do you got?
I've got a Mischief here. I'm going to crack open.
Oh my God, that beer is so good. I don't even know if I've ever had that before. And I am happy. Wendy, what about you?
Yeah.
I enjoyed that one as well. Had just opened the offshoot beer company Relax Hazy IPA, which I also think is fantastic.
I am finishing my pint of Black Tuesday as well as my pint of Mischief. So it has been a good night. It's been a minute since we've done the news, so I am excited to catch up with everyone. I don't even remember. Do we play the Here is Robert with the beer news and then don't go with Robert with the beer news?
I don't think we do that much anymore. And plus, you know, I've pretty much hung up my tulip glasses in chugging while said little tune was playing. So,
well, you know,
I'm waiting for, you know, in about 5 years where I get to be eligible for the Chug Hall of Fame, where we'll see if my eligibility kicks in.
Well, we'll start with you, Rob. What do you got for the news?
All right, so what I got for the news, going along with as people are probably filing into Detroit, being Bills fans, getting ready to break themselves on a bunch of tables. Prepare yourself.
So tell us the story about that. What is this about breaking tables?
Dan, do you even internet?
No, you know, and I'm
I don't know either.
Cleveland Browns fan. I have no idea what this about. I was like, what are we doing?
So the Bills fans, the Bills fans are like known for wild tailgate parties, including throwing themselves onto tables, and not like choke slamming a friend onto a table and pretending they're in WWE. No, just like hopping on top of an RV and jumping onto a table that snaps in half.
No one said the people from Buffalo were the smartest.
So, and these aren't even like stage tables. Like, you know how we, at least as wrestling fans, know in the WWE, they shave the table so it breaks easy and it doesn't hurt. They don't do that. And there are videos of like failed table breaks where a person will jump like 10 feet down and the table doesn't break.
Or tables on fire and the person catches on fire.
Yeah,
Stop, drop, and roll will come into play there.
There's power bomb fails. Yes, there was one I watched today where a guy, jumped through a table, was on fire, and there was snow, and he just got up and started running. And we're like, "There's snow on the ground, dude. Just stop, drop, and roll."
He runs. It goes back to my comment. The people from Buffalo. All right, I got to stop because someone from Buffalo is going to hear this. And
I was just going to say, just real short, that basically, I believe what I read was that the tradition started with a Bills fan who had cancer. He beat cancer. So like during a tailgate or something, he celebrated by jumping through a table, and it just went from there. So that's what it is.
This way.
Honestly, I mean, if cancer ain't gonna kill you, what does it matter now?
What's a table gonna do? So shout out to Bills Mafia. Welcome to Detroit. And
part two. Remember the 2014 game.
As the Lions Twitter feed said, lock up Ford Field when you're done and don't break any of the tables. So the article that I have today is talking about the World Cup, which is supposed to start, I think that starts tomorrow?
Sunday.
Or is tomorrow the Sunday?
Sunday, yeah.
And
that's all of the articles.
All of the articles. So the Qatar Royals basically have demanded just 2 days before the beginning of the World Cup that they are going to be banning all alcoholic beer sales during the World Cup at the stadiums where the soccer matches are being played. Excuse me. Instead, what will be allowed to the general public is going to be Budweiser Zero in all 8 of the stadiums. Now, a FIFA spokesperson made a statement saying, quote, "A decision has been made to focus the sale of alcoholic beverages on the FIFA fan festival, other fan destinations, and licensed venues." Now, and it probably is pronounced Qatar. I'm
it's
not there.
Qatar.
Yeah. Anyway,
I've always heard it as Qatar.
I've heard it as Qatar. I've heard it as Qatar. I've heard it as, it's just one
because
of them.
I got well actually when I made an Air Qatar joke about like what's the most famous instrument in the Middle East, and it's Air Qatar.
Qatar. Wow. That's dad level.
Go on, I'm sorry.
So AB InBev, which they paid $75 million to be a sponsor of the World Cup this year, had finalized a deal with the officials back in September, and then was just made aware of this change apparently last Saturday. And so in a statement to CNBC, an AB InBev rep had said, as partners of FIFA for over 3 decades, we look forward to our activations of FIFA World Cup campaigns around the world to celebrate football with our consumers. Some of the planned stadium activations cannot move forward due to circumstances beyond our control. Now, I am not really that much of a football person. American football, but I'm not much of a football person. But it pretty much, to me, it stands to reason that when you see the game in media and on TV, that there's a lot of people that love to enjoy drinking beer while watching a game. And, if Nick were here, he'd probably be talking to us up and down about how much beer gets drank at a Detroit Football Club game down at Keyworth. Now, I'm pretty sure AB InBev had strong growth in Brazil from the 2018 World Cup. And I guess shout out to FIFA for basically holding Brazil at gunpoint to make them change their alcohol laws to make that happen. But now the beer is pretty much stuck tailgating. So I'm kind of curious with you three, in terms of being the brand and suddenly finding out that while you get to be at the stadiums, while I'll be selling only the non-alcoholic version of your beer, that you're now put behind this wall where you can't have your product, the product you wanted to have in a stadium to sell millions upon millions of cans of, isn't in the stadium anymore. Like, what do you feel like you would do going into the future in trying to be a sponsor for an event like this, where you're basically told by the government this ain't happening? And I feel like when you're AB InBev, that you pretty much rule the beer world and can do whatever the hell you want, except you can't do that in Qatar.
So for me, I feel that if Budweiser is curtailing the decision of the last minute reversal to Qatar, probably in an attempt to still make money, but in the same sense, if I were them, like, they should, I feel like there's enough business savvy to where there is some type of lawsuit that you would have to go, but now you're suing the government of Qatar for this. And are they going to pay anything? Are they going to do anything? What does it matter? You're not going to lose anything in the country, because, well, they don't sell alcohol in the first place. So, I mean, it's kind of like a lose-lose, to where if I were Budweiser and I wanted to make a statement, I would, again, I'm not Budweiser, but I would cancel my contract and that's it. Like, you reneged on your side, I'm going to renege on mine now, and that's it. Like, I don't feel like there's nothing else to do other than, I don't know how they're going to get all these 0-0s out to Qatar. I mean, I'm sure they can.
They can come from Europe. That's not a problem at all. The problem is it's not the country you're going to hurt by doing that. The contract's with FIFA to do that. What you need to do is tell them stay the fuck out of the Middle East. This tournament has already been a disaster. All of a sudden it's during the holidays. You know, Qatar somehow pushed their way into CONCACAF tournaments, which doesn't make sense. They've been doing nothing but disrupting the whole situation in a really bad way. You tell FIFA this is done. You don't do this anymore. It shouldn't be happening. This is just like the tip of the iceberg with everything.
I'm not
happened.
questioning you, Dan. Isn't CONCACAF like a North American?
Yeah, North and Central America. That's our football region that Qatar is all of a sudden playing in the Gold Cup for.
Oh, okay. I cannot. Yeah. Like, I'm making sure you're, you know, I'm not trying to be a Will actually, but in the same sense, I'm like, the little amount that I know about soccer, I'm like, I know a little bit, because I'll still pay attention to, like, oh, how's the U.S. team doing on the major tournaments, because CONCACAF is the, how
is our region.
World Cup,
it's where the U.S. is, but Qatar pushed their way into the Gold Cup somehow in 2021, so... which doesn't make sense. So it was them and all of the normal teams, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's been a disaster. They're talking about enforcing laws on people that are there coming to watch the games that are ridiculous. Not to get into politics, but that's what you do. You tell FIFA, sorry, we're not doing this again if this is ever in a place like anywhere in the Middle East.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Wendy, what do you think?
So I think a lot of things. So Budweiser has actually been a sponsor of the World Cup since like 1985. So they do this for a reason. And the fact that like 2 days out, this came down, like they were told they were going to be able to sell it in certain places. They had to ship beer in because there were no breweries in that region. So, I mean, this is really expensive for Budweiser, or AB InBev, not necessarily Budweiser, but you know what I'm saying? So I agree with Dan that it's not the country that they're going to have to deal with. It's FIFA, who they paid, I think it was like $50 million or something like that.
75.
I mean,
to be a solo sponsor, like that's crazy, to then find out 2 days before the tournament starts that you're not going to be able to sell there.
I still feel like it would be a third party lawsuit, I think is what they're calling, when you sue one person and the liability comes from a third person. I only know this because I sat in on a jury of a Somerset Mall here in Michigan, and the defendant was Somerset Mall, and the defendant was their like de-icer and salt company that does all the snow shoveling and stuff, because somebody slipped and fell in Michigan. Go figure. I just don't understand. As Dan said, never again. Don't even gamble. But if you're Budweiser, like, you should have there should be nothing for you to do. You should just take your money and go. Like, it just seems like you're catering too much to them, and then I feel like other countries who will try to do something like this, but if you don't do it again, then you don't do it again. But there's a lot of money in some of these Arabic countries, Middle Eastern countries, that companies like the WWE, as we've talked about earlier in the show, will bend their will to make a buck. Everything's about money.
Yeah.
I mean
there's a lot of, I was just gonna say that there's a lot of, looking at the country list of who's participating, there's a lot that I feel just kind of just goes with beer. Netherlands, England, Wales, Mexico, Poland, France, Australia, Denmark, Germany, Japan, like Belgium, Canada.
At least 7 of the articles that I read talked about the fact that the English are going to be really upset when they go to watch their team and they can't drink a beer.
I think the big thing...
the England-US game is going to be a huge thing where everyone's going to be shit-faced. Well, they were going to be.
Not
Yeah,
now.
What's it going to be now?
there's gotta be in reality a boycott would have to happen of the fan base. Like you're going to, Qatar, okay, well, instead of going to Qatar, you just head back and you go somewhere else. You go to I know you're really in the middle of nowhere because you're in Qatar and you're in the Persian Gulf, but your choices are very limited to kind of go somewhere else.
Right.
But I just there's the only thing you could do is just not show up. When does US play England? I know they're in the same
Monday.
Honest
Monday, or is that that's Wales? Let me look up the schedule.
I mean,
US plays Wales on Monday.
even Wales, like a US Wales or the
Not
first
the same.
the first English game, you can literally
25th.
just
25th. Yeah.
Okay, so a week from today, Black Friday next
Yeah.
week. You could literally just there would need to be some type of boycott for something to change, but I don't think anything will change because they don't need it.
They don't.
And there
care.
was one other part that I saw about the fan stations that are going to have the alcoholic beverages, that I thought I had read in one of the articles that they are going to potentially be moving those stations further away from the stadium. It didn't say how far they were to start or how far they're going to move them away from the stadium, but I think just that whole idea that they're going to move them away. I mean, hey, whoever gets drunk is going to be that much more of a challenge to get to your seat now. Well, what it is.
And those, as I'm looking up the laws, if you are drinking in a public place, that is a 6-month prison sentence.
That's what would worry me.
And a fine of $825. I'm more worried about the prison sentence than the
So they
fine.
agreed to this up until 2 days before the tournament started.
Yep.
At that point, you cannot cancel the tournament because people have already bought plane tickets. They've got hotel rooms booked. They have spent a lot of money. So this was done on purpose, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
Get your money. Now you got to be there regardless.
So before we I'm going to pass it off to Wendy. There's some info that I think is important. I know there's probably not too many people in Qatar that are listening to this, but
No.
here's some. I mean, we had some expats over in the
Was that India or Ireland?
no. It was somewhere in the Middle East. I want to say it was Saudi Arabia. So alcohol won't be for sale inside stadiums during matches except in hospitality boxes.
Yes.
But you have to have money in order to drink.
There is a single state controlled off license, but it is restricted to residents who have a valid permit. While alcohol will be available to those who want to drink it in designated areas, it will not be openly available on the streets. We ask that people, when they visit, stick to these designated areas. There are plans in place for people to sober up if they've been drinking excessively, he said. It's a place to make sure they
jail?
keep themselves safe. They're not harmful to anybody else. Honestly, I feel like whenever the first match is, in the coming days, we're going to be getting, this is how many people were arrested for public intox.
It wouldn't shock me.
That's what's next.
Yeah. Wendy, what article do you have?
Well, speaking of NA beer, I read today that Keurig Dr Pepper has purchased shares in Athletic Brewing Company. While they haven't disclosed the exact percentage, their $50 million investment does give KDP a seat on Athletic's brewing board. And I thought it was interesting because 5 months ago, they bought the non-alcoholic ready-to-drink cocktail brand. I'm probably going to screw this up. Atypique. I have no idea how to say that.
It's France.
So Athletic Brewing has a range of more than 40 beers, and Nielsen data says that it holds 55% of the market for non-alcoholic beer in the craft US. The KDP is saying that they're really excited to help them expand. Athletic Brewing told Just Drinks, where I found the article, that they believe there's a tremendous opportunity to continue expanding both domestically as well as abroad. They are currently sold in Australia, Canada, and the UK, and also parts of Europe, and they're really excited to continue to grow. My question is, I guess we've talked a lot about non-alcoholic beer. Do we think that this is a trend that's going to continue forward? Is there room for other brands at this point? Like, they're just kind of taking over.
Is there room for like more brands outside of like Athletic?
Yeah, outside of Athletic.
Because I think they're gonna Athletics like the Budweiser of beer, of non-alcoholic beer at this point. But yeah, there's absolutely, because you've got more breweries dabbling in it. You got places like Two Roots, they're not going away. There's going to be the smaller regional ones, I think, just like there is with craft beer right now. And then you'll have the big ones like Athletic or Partake, that sort of thing, to try and, to be the gateway that everyone tries when they come in. But there's always going to be the ones who want to get into it themselves, whether they're contracting it out, figure out how to do it themselves, or what have you, for the people that don't want to drink, the big national brand.
And I feel like that's getting bigger and bigger right now.
Yeah.
The non-alcoholic side?
Yeah.
I agree too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at what I've been having tonight. I mean, I do have some Athletic downstairs in my cold storage area, but I would have had one of those cans if not for having a refrigerator that apparently froze my can of Oktoberfest. So I have no idea what's going on. But these here with Untitled Art, and their non-alcoholics have been with the S'mores dark brew, the chocolate milk dark brew, which is
these are both so good.
Really good. I mean, they make a very good non-alcoholic stout. We've had some of the other ones that have been on the show. The Big Drop, I think is what it was called. That
very good. Yep.
English based.
They're very, very good NAs there. So there's definitely space. And it's just like what Dan said, is that Athletic is everywhere. And you can find that they've got ad space on TV, billboards. It's basically popping up in every store where, anybody's even selling any NAs. But there's definitely space, because I feel like with Athletic, they are very true to style when it comes to their NAs. And Untitled Art goes a little bit into a different area, which adding those extra flavors that I enjoy with having, adjunct stouts that, these are our adjunct NA stouts, and right? They're very enjoyable. So there's room. There's definitely room.
There's plenty of room for the NA beer in this industry. As you guys recall, at the end of last year, beginning of this year, I was sober for 7 months. And the amount of different craft beers that I was drinking in the NA category was just, to be honest, astounding. Like there was a few that I stayed true to, but there were so many different ones that I had. It was definitely a fun experience to have, to be able to try all these beers that tasted like beers. And for me, I always thought, well, I'm drinking soda, I want the caffeine, or I'm drinking an energy drink, I want the caffeine. When I'm drinking alcohol, I want the buzz. So like NA beer was always just something that in the back of my head, I'm like, why would I drink NA beer? But I feel like we as a culture, and not a generational thing, I think it's definitely cross-generational, we want flavor. We want to be able to enjoy the taste of something, to where now we're not necessarily looking for the buzz or the cheap buzz or the, what's the price per ABV, as we've talked about on this show. Now it's, I just want something that tastes good. Like right. I can. We always thought, oh, well, you get the good taste and the buzz, and now you're just getting the good taste. Why am I going to spend the same amount? And I think a lot of people were against that. But for me, like with Athletic Brewing and getting that, you know what Athletic Brewing is going to get with the I was about to say Kellogg, but it's not Kellogg. Keurig. Dr. Pepper. Distribution.
Yeah.
They're going to get the distribution a lot easier into the places that don't have the regulations like Michigan does, where NA beer is still beer. And then they're going to be able to work into it. So I think there's going to be, it's kind of like the Yingling with the Miller Coors. Like, Miller Coors has no ownership into Yingling except for the distribution portion, and they're going to do it because they're going to make money, and that's all it is. So, I think this is a good thing for Athletic, and I think the more Athletic grows, the more it'll force the larger breweries and not like larger craft breweries to start looking into NA or low ABV or AF to get stuff done. So I'm hoping for, more in the next year. And I think with the 3 holidays, the 3 dry months, dry July, dry January, sober October, it's always going to be in the public consciousness.
So, I agree.
Agreed.
Thank you, everybody.
Ken's done with this soapbox.
It helps stroke my ego.
Hold on, I'm going to Reddit now. How do I get on there?
Well, as I've gotten older, I've realized that I like the taste of beer, but I don't necessarily want to be drunk because I have to get up and go to work the next day. Or I just can't deal with the hangover like I used to. So I like to have an non-alcoholic beer every now and then.
Well, like, remember when we had 2 Roots on and the guy was just like, oh yeah, I would drink a 2 Roots in between nice drams of whiskey at Ale Mary's. And they're like, why do you drink? He's like, I want to drive home, but I also want to enjoy the taste of something that I have. And to be honest, compared to like, think a calorie count of your NA beer versus soda versus something you get from Starbucks versus something
100%.
Like you're not only paying about the same amount for each one, but you're getting the calorie intake is a lot less versus the 2.
Surprisingly, you're right. The NA beers, especially something like Partake's, like way better than like you drink a Coke, for example. Like your better choice is the NA beer.
And there are some NA beers that are dirt cheap regarding calories, and then there's some that are like what Rob's drinking from Untitled Art, which is still going to be 140, 150 calories. But 150 calorie unart NA beer is going to be a lot less than a mocha latte from Starbucks.
Oh yeah,
indeed.
Well, Dan, what do you got for us?
So I've got an interesting and fun story here. This actually just dropped a few minutes ago. While this was going on, the Washington Commanders, our favorite football team out there, is in some trouble again. The team has disciplined multiple players after videos surface of the players drinking on the flight back from the Monday night upset over the Eagles in Philadelphia. Apparently, the NFL prohibits alcohol on team charters as well as in other places, such as the locker rooms and things like that. So now a lot of these players are in trouble. Just kind of curious, this is just kind of an interesting article. News was kind of light. Should we be punishing professional athletes for drinking on a plane after knocking off the last undefeated team in the NFL?
When you've done it 2 out of the last 3 years.
Well, no. It surprises me too, because I wasn't aware until I read this article that in the NFL you can't drink somewhere like the plane. Where I don't think it's like this anymore, but in like baseball, if the players weren't playing that day, they could drink. They had beer in the locker rooms. If they weren't scheduled to be coming in the field, and Detroit had a big problem with some of the players like Brandon Inge and those guys back in the day, where people were drinking on their off days during the game. So is that something that should really be also done? I mean, these are adults. Yeah, they're professional athletes, are being paid, but you just knocked off the last unbeaten team, someone who might have a good chance at winning the Super Bowl. Should we be punishing these guys for having a couple of beers after doing that?
I mean, when it
that's
comes
the contract they signed.
And that's where I was going to go, is that, collective bargaining agreement that they're signing this with the NFL. I mean, the MLB is going to be a completely different monster. And they have their set of rules, but NFL I think is very like focused on player conduct, and especially for these last few years, which I feel they still need to do a better job about certain players' contact and their conduct. But I'm not going to get into that. But
so are you saying Ocho Cinco players? Are you saying Ocho Cinco and Pac-Man Jones like ruined it for everyone? Is that what you're telling us?
Maybe, but I'm just kind of talking about the conduct of a certain quarterback that's going to be here in Detroit on Sunday. But I don't want to get into his bullshit. So
he's not playing Sunday, if that's what you're talking. That's not
Johnny Manziel.
Yes, that one.
Baker Mayfield.
Oh, wait, Baker Mayfield won't be in town on Sunday. He's on Carolina or some shit.
Where's Johnny Manziel? What the hell?
He plays for some Twitch TV football league.
Oh, I've seen that.
That's right. Yes.
At least Baker's still in the league. Shit.
I don't know any of the names you just said.
It's okay.
This Sunday is
on Sunday?
Jacoby Brissett versus Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I like the name Jacoby.
I'm sorry. Deshaun Watson can't come soon enough.
Here's the thing for me, at least regarding the professional athletes. One of the big things we see with professional athletes, and this is in all sports, is that and it's true because we just had even the coaches DUIs, getting too drunk, post game, not understanding the fact of using a Uber or a black car or whatever just to get home, or a driver. If you, as a professional, a professional football team, if you're driving to an airport to go to a game or something like that, that should be, as much as it's 50 some odd, it should be 50 car rides. That's what you should be paying to get them to the airport so that they get home. 50 car rides there, 50 car rides back. After a game, they don't have practice the next day. They don't have anything. Like, they need, if they want to have fun and go for it. Like, especially post game, when you're talking the NFL post game, you don't got a game for minimum 4 days.
You don't even have practice for multiple days at that point.
Yeah. So like, if you should, instead of encroaching on their ability to party and have fun, you should be like, hey, you can have fun. Like the parent of the 18-year-old at prom with the, taking the keys of everyone at the party. Like, hey, if you want to drink here, I'm going to take your keys. Nobody's going to fucking drive, and you'll sober up in the morning. Like, that's how we should treat these professional sports stars, because they've proved that they don't deserve our trust. And yeah, what's up, Wendy?
These are adult men.
Yeah.
Who get paid a shit ton of money.
Yep.
There is no reason that they can't afford to purchase their own Uber and be responsible.
The
NFL shouldn't have to pay for it, but they also shouldn't have to be told you aren't allowed to drink on the team plane. Like, that's ridiculous.
So here's the fun thing too. The NFL actually pays for the drivers to get rides too. They actually have a program where they can call and someone will come pick them up. So these guys are still actively choosing. If you guys remember, the guy we had out here, Michael Floyd, he fell asleep at a stoplight. Mm-hmm. And like the cops saw, he was just sitting there with his foot on the brake and passed out. So I mean, this basically,
this just happened yesterday with the Titans offensive coordinator out in Green Bay. So
I don't understand.
Make the phone call.
Honest to God, it's simple. It's one of those things to where people just don't want to. They want to be in control, and that's not them in control.
First of all, if I had that much money, I would just have people drive me everywhere anyways. I would never get my wheel.
But
then it doesn't matter if you want to drink.
So here's the thing about sports stars. Like imagine in football. Let's picture football, if you will. If you're an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, you're both in control. You want to be in control. If you're a wide receiver, you're in control of your routes. If you're a D, you're in control of what you decide to do. They are in control of everything they do, sans what the coach tells them to do on the field. Like Like, they're in control of all their movements. I think they're just so in tune with that they don't understand how to relinquish the control. And if you're not trained to be able to relinquish it, you're shit out of luck. I mean, how many times, and let's be honest, the four of us here, we've all done it, where we'd rather have driven ourselves when we should not have driven ourselves. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Not because we didn't have the money to buy an Uber or a taxi or whatever, because we wanted to be in control. They're millionaire. So is what we did.
See, here's my thing, though. I understand everything that you're saying, but I think that is very much a male perspective, because when I look at it, they're paying that driver to take them wherever they want. They're still in control. They have the fucking control because they're paying them to do it. So where are you giving up control because you're telling somebody to take you someplace? That's not giving up control. That's you thinking you're giving up control.
I believe that's hunted.
I'm just saying.
Hunted.
Thanks, Pac-Man Jones. This is why we're at this now.
I mean, I don't deny it, and I'm a white bearded male, so I'm literally the craft beer industry fan right here. But no, like I feel it's the same way as why I can only talk about my experiences to understand, and that's just what it is. Like my experiences, and I've done it, and I'm not proud of it, and I'm glad I've made it safe every time, and that's why I bought a backtrack. I mean, that BAC track is a great fucking tool now, to where when I go bowling now and I have my beers and I'm like, oh, I'm good to go. I don't guess anymore. I'm not leaving it to like a cop to tell me I'm drunk.
You're not leaving at a 1.8. You're leaving at a 0.8. Or
no,
0.8, Dan.
0.8, no.
I'm 80% alcohol.
Okay, you might not be.
I might be 80% alcohol after this Black Tuesday. That's for sure.
What was that again?
I can't wait to open mine. I can't wait to open the Black Tuesday. But no, because even if you're leaving and you think you're okay, you might not be. So it's better not to leave it to chance. I agree with Ken.
Yeah.
Yep. And as much as, honest to God, and I'll tell you guys, I drink the same amount every single night at bowling, and I blow every single time. And it's not the same every single time, and it's interesting to see what I've eaten before, how much water I had that day, like all these different things that change, and what the ABV does just for that day. We're not sponsored by it, but it's just a fun thing. It's Backtrack, BACtrack.com. It's like $70 and it goes on your keychain. I'm sorry, Wendy, go on.
I have a question about that.
Is it a phone app? Is it
it's Bluetooth to your phone, so you can record all your stuff, so you have it, but you don't need it hooked up to your phone. It's just a pocket breathalyzer.
So if you're out bowling and you blow higher than you would like to be, what do you do then? Do you take an Uber or do you wait it out?
For me, I'm not going to be that far away from being under 0.08, so I'm probably just going to crank the heat, throw something on YouTube or Netflix on my car, put the seat back and kick it back for 2 hours and blow again later. Yeah, that's what I would do. But I mean, I'm taking for me, like
Floyd did too.
I ain't starting the drive though. I ain't starting the drive. That's the difference. Yep. But I'm drinking 5 beers in 3.5 hours. So I'm not going to be drunk to where I'm drinking more than 1 drink an hour, but I'm also drinking beers that are higher than your standard 4% Miller Lights. I'm drinking Alaskan Amber because that's what they got at the bowling alley. So nice. I'm happy. Exactly. But I don't take shots. I don't take free beers. I don't take anything. Like I do what I want or do that. And that's it. So bowling takes longer and I'm done drinking beer. Like I start drinking water. Like it's it's a lot of self-imposed rules, but you just, I think back, and I'm going to tell you guys just because I didn't get in trouble for it, so it doesn't matter. You can't catch me, coppers. But I used to do 3 pitchers of Labatt Blue, in a bowling time, which was about 2.5, 3 hours. 3 pitchers of beer, and drive home. Not safe.
Sounds like a Tuesday night at Luna.
Oh God, the amount of times at Luna too.
Luna.
But that's the thing is that, like, again, when you're young, you have better alcoholic metabolism, and when you're a guy my size, you have better alcoholic metabolism. And yeah, dumb things, and I'm glad I never got in trouble, and here we are now. Like, I'm just never going to get through that. Shit, it's already 40 minutes in. We're nearing the end of the show, and I didn't even get through any articles that I wanted to go through. So I'm just gonna take an article that Rob probably posted here. We talked about it. We've actually talked about the NFL. Somebody actually mentioned or asked us to talk about this for the NFL, but we're going to do the NBA. And talk about the most expensive beers in the NBA.
Oh, dang.
I used to do 2 to 3 pitchers on karaoke night, Bats McGee says on Twitch. That's, of course, twitch.com/BetterOnDraft. We're live
Who's
Friday
Bats
nights.
McGee?
It's Bats McGee. It's the Bats McGee. First time chatter. Thank you so much for joining us. I believe Bats McGee is on the Michigan Craft Beer Discord, which, of course, you can find in our show notes. But with that in mind, what do you guys think is the most expensive beer at an NBA site? Oh my God, some of these prices. Holy fuck.
What site? Like what city or arena?
Yeah, what city or arena? There are no double arenas, because I think the Clippers and the Lakers play at 2 different. Or no, they play at the same arena.
No, they play the crypto.
They play the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
The rest of them though, there is so many. So
are the Clippers prices cheaper than the Lakers? Like the Giants and the Jets?
They're on the same level actually. What do you think is the most expensive site for NBA beer? We're gonna start with Wendy because she might not know all of the NBA sites. She's not a sports person.
I don't know any. I know absolutely zero about the NBA. I'm gonna say Detroit's gonna be up there though, because they have a brand new.
That's a very fair comment, but the Pistons are god awful and they're third to cheapest.
Beer is actually cheap
really?
in that arena. I learned that at the Iron Maiden show.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Pistons are $6.72. The cheapest, we'll say the cheapest, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers at $5.28 for a 16-ounce beer. So the Pistons are at $6.72. The most expensive is $17.28.
I gotta guess. I think I'm gonna say it's the Warriors, because they recently moved to a new arena a couple of years ago.
Golden State
What city is that?
That's Golden State, so that's San Francisco.
Okay. I would have gone with California. I wouldn't have picked a city.
They are the top. They are tied with another top, though.
Wait, is there a tie for number one?
There is a tie for number one. The Warriors and somebody else.
Somebody else. I would say LA, but maybe not. Ooh, that's a tough one. Who else is up there? It'd be the Knicks.
I'm kind of thinking where you're at in a way, because I feel like, and I did post this article, but I hadn't looked at it in so damn long. But I'm thinking about it, and I feel like it's got to be on one of the coast. So, like,
it can't be Sacramento. They're shit tier.
Sacramento's not on the coast. That's an hour from the coast.
Close enough.
So, I mean, I'm basically, I'm like going 50-50 right now between Boston and Portland. Because Portland.
I didn't even think of Portland. You're right.
Portland?
You're right. There's
Portland,
only one
Oregon.
Portland. Yeah,
I
there's
don't
only
know.
one. That's a good point, Rob. You might be right. Or Boston.
So
Wait,
So
which
I-
Portland
I-
is it though? For my sake, for
Oregon.
the non-NBA
Oregon.
people.
it is Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Clyde the
I think
Glide. Where's Clyde the Glide Drexler at?
both cities are generally expensive as hell.
All right, so the Trailblazers are actually tied with the Clippers, Lakers, and Timberwolves at 11-4. So again, the Warriors 1728, the Pistons 672.
Who's tied with the Warriors? You might be right, Rob. It's got to be.
I'm gonna sit with Boston. That's the case.
All right, glowing through it as we close out the Celtics. Yes, 1728.
Yeah.
Third place is the Denver Nuggets.
Wow.
1472. And in fifth place, because we said the Knicks were 1376 and fourth, 1296 for the Nets.
Oh, Brooklyn. Yeah, I didn't even think of them.
The cheapest teams are Cleveland Cavaliers, the Oklahoma Thunder, Atlanta Hawks, Detroit Pistons, and the Indiana Pacers, all below $8 a pint. So when you're going to a basketball game, it might be cheaper to go see a Pistons game and drink there and go back.
So I'm curious now. I wonder if the basketball beer prices are the same as the hockey beer prices in Detroit. Because the beers were more expensive than the beer was more expensive than you're quoting, at the Iron Maiden show. And I feel like they got more people there than they do during a basketball game.
So
Probably.
It looks like it is Statista, which is a website, says that it is $6.50 at a Detroit Red Wings game. And it's $6.72 for a Pistons game.
That's interesting.
So we're talking like Bud Light, Miller Light, right?
Yeah.
You gotta be, because
Yeah,
We're paying $17 for a pint at a fucking basketball game?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Me and I actually saw the Lions' second win with Nick a few weeks ago, week and a half ago. And I was
Green Bay.
Yes, against Green Bay. Was it Green Bay?
Second one, yeah. Wait. No.
Who did we play
That
at
was
home? That wasn't
Seattle.
Green Bay. No, it wasn't Seattle. Who did we play like 2 weeks
No,
ago?
that's Seattle.
I don't feel bad paying $18 for a 4-pack of good craft beer anymore.
No, it was Chicago. Come on. I just remember it was Chicago.
Weren't they in Chicago?
Oh no, it was Green Bay. We did win it. Yeah. I remember yelling at the fans in front of us, because if you've ever been in the section that Nick's in, it's basically all foreign fans.
Is he not in the same section anymore?
He's in the same section, but if you've ever sat there before, it's literally like all the tickets get sold around him to
gotcha.
out of staters. So like Green Bay, somebody was complaining about a call, and I said, man, I would hate to have a call where, you get a face mask that's not a real face mask, and then Aaron Rodgers gets to bomb a Hail Mary to win an entire game. I would really hate that. Like every single time they had something, I literally had like a retort about a Green Bay Detroit game that involved like them. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Anyways, that's the news. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week with Zaytuna Liquor. And in 2 weeks, I'm actually excited. It's going to be a fun show because this guy is a character. He runs the website or Facebook page Pilsnerish. And if you don't know what that is, that's basically the website that calls out really stupid Untapped reviews. And he got in a lot of trouble with Untapped because it used to be called Untapped WTF. So it'll be a lot of fun. We're going to be off on the 9th because on 12/10, we're going to be at 4Elf Live. That's right. Come see us live December 10th over in Marshall, Michigan for 4Elf Day. That's going to do it. This is the news episode, November 18th. Yep, the news episode, November 18th. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft. Have a good night.
Peace, y'all.